Sebastian. I'm head of product at Private User, and in this video I'll be demonstrating the Carnet Rappel app for the Google validation team. So the point of this app is to help bar and restaurant managers create their own setup using Google Sheets and Google Forms in order to capture their clients' contact information when they enter the venue, so that in case someone's contaminated with the COVID, they can transfer the data who were present at the same time to the French authorities. So this is an app script web app where we require the user to sign in and give us some authorizations, and I'm going to run through that. So first of all, to access this web app, our users actually go through an onboarding form on our own services. For instance, on the software we sell to them, they can click on create your Carnet Rappel, and this will lead to this URL. So this being the web app URL with the email and the venue name both base64 encoded for URL safety. So let's go through it. This demonstration will be with my personal Gmail account, whereas I use my professional one to code, obviously. And to demonstrate the full setup, I'm going to go in incognito mode so that you can see everything from logging to giving authorization. Here I'll be logging in with my personal Gmail account. All right. So it's important to note that before getting this linked, either through a user interface or through an email, we explain to the user that we will request some authorization from them, and we explained for each of them why we need it, and that's what I'm going to explain to you right now. So here is the authorization given. So this is obviously the thing we want to disappear. So obviously why I'm making this video. So then we require the Drive API, the Spreadsheet API, the Forms API to connect to an external service and to send an email as myself. So then it just goes to a loading state. So with my example, I did the Café de Seb, right? So I'll demonstrate the end product of it, and then I'll go through the script one by one to give you an idea of what it does. One thing to note while we're waiting is that for some reason, since I connected the app script to a standard console project, the Drive API stopped working. So it's not using it right now, but it's not so bad because actually I'm going to show you it's just to create a folder and move some files inside the folder. So there it is. It's done. So now I can access the newly created Google Sheet. So this is a templated Google Sheet that was personalized, both with the link here, and this is the form that was created for, actually I have to fix this in the script because the URL behind the link didn't change, but the link itself is good. So here we explain a lot of things. It's in French, but we have the support email we use, that's the one connected to the URL. And then here's the place where the Google form will drop its data, and here we generate some QR codes from the user to print, cut, and put on their tables and their bars or restaurants. So this QR code goes to this URL, which is the newly created Google form. It's still personalized. If I enter a test thing, it doesn't send anything, so it's fine. Here it will fill the data here. And there we are. And the important thing here is that we build all this authorization scheme so that privacy-wise, I as private user don't have access to the user data of the user that used my app to create their setup. And if I go into my Google Drive, we'll see that there are 2 files that have been created. So this is a lot of my tests, but the interesting ones are this one and this one. These are the newly created ones. And the Google form, same thing. I'm the only one who can have access. So what really happened in the backend, we can quickly go through the code. So this is the function that will run. So first thing is creating a Drive folder. That's what I need the Drive API for. Just basically to do something very simple. Create a folder. And then every time I created my files, I wanted them to move inside. That's really the only reason I use the Drive API. Then I create a spreadsheet. So for this, I'm actually duplicating a template spreadsheet that is owned by private user, but that is viewable by anyone. So that's that function, duplicating the sheet, nothing very fancy here. Then we use the Forms API to create the booking form from scratch. So create it, add the fields, set the destination to our Google Sheets. Then we do some templating and some formatting. Next step is to personalize the spreadsheet. So I get the form URL, the publish URL for the venue owner to give to their clients. I replace some text, and then this is why I need access to an external API, is actually to get the QR image, the QR code, the QR image from the form shortened URL, which is a very simple thing that actually use Google API to generate the QR code. So I get the blob and then I insert it everywhere in my template. And the last thing is why I need the email access is to actually send to the user from the user recap email, well, remembering some explanation and giving the URL of the spreadsheet. And the reply to address is still carnet.rappel@privatizer.com. So this is pretty much it. So yeah, to summarize, Drive API to create a folder and move files inside, Spreadsheets API to duplicate a template and access it for the form and personalize it, Forms API to create a Google form, external URL fetch API to get the QR code, and in the end, the email API to send a recap email so that users not used to the Google Drive can find back the link. There we go. Thank you for listening.